and he just said, "Follow me." And I just got behind him, and he basically parted the crowds and smiled at everybody and got us through to our seats. And then a few minutes later, Donald Trump sits down and reaches out. Donald reaches over me to shake Jack's hand. Jack shakes his hand, as he's an elegant, graceful guy, and then he reaches his hand to shake my hand, takes my hand, looks at it, pulls his hand back, yanks his hand back because he's skeeved by my hands, right? What a tool. This guy's such a tool, yeah? I mean,
big tool.
yeah, so, yeah. So
I am not skeeved at all by this.
And he goes like this, and then he went like that. I could tell he was like, he wanted to throw up. That's a great story, though.
So, and this one was a Democrat.
Yeah, he switched
I don't
over.
know what he was.
Switched over back and forth.
He was a tool.
Well, then that sells that Donald Trump is an asshole for doing that. But
yeah, no, but he's open about not liking people with deformities and disabilities, and he proved it by saying, to the photographer in North Korea at the summit, make sure that we all look thin and perfect.
Well, when you're fat and imperfect like he is, and trust me, I know because I am. I get it. But
yeah, but at least you're handsome.
Well, there you go. Thank you. I was
and
gonna
smart. You're not a tool.
He's smart. I trust me. I want to get off this subject because when
I go 0 to 60.
I had a whole Cam Casey thing I was going around, but we'll study that for next time. Because I remember first time you were on our show, you were my first podcast guest.
That's right.
And we were all drunk on absinthe, and that made sense.
We did drink absinthe. I don't even know how you got real absinthe back then, because I don't think it was in the
It was just starting to become legal, but I did get it this was imported. But anyway.
It was the real deal, because I was tripping.
Yeah, we were all tripping. But we had our favorite Michael Vile, the magician, was on, so I had a person was doing sleight of hand with Bree Walker on the same show. Now,
all puns intended.
At that time, and also when Josie Cat was in the studio, you're talking about being in New York in the 70s and being a part of the punk scene. But last time I talked to you, last time we were hanging out, you told me you went to Studio 54.
Oh, yeah.
And we're hanging out with Andy Warhol and Mick Jagger.
Oh, yes, and Elton
Tell us about that.
Tell me about
it was
Elton
very
John,
cool
too?
because that was the era when they had the upstairs at Studio 54, and there was a lot of cocaine going around, and so people were doing that upstairs where the couches were, and I was a DJ at a rock and roll station, an FM station that was very successful in New York City. And I was new to the scene, so I got invited places, and I ended up upstairs with the boys.
Nice.
It was, we were just hanging out, and they were respectful. And
were you like all at the same table, just you and Andy Warhol?
we were all just walking around, talking to each other, drinking champagne, and doing whatever else was offered, pretty much.
So,
and
how was Andy Warhol to party with?
Fentanyl, yeah.
Like, was his wig that bad in person? Was it?
He was charming, but in a very awkward way. He had an awkward body language to him, like a little boy in a way who didn't feel comfortable in a room of his peers, even. Yeah. He struck me as kind of a sad, tragic character. Brilliant, as so many brilliant people are. Sad and tragic.
Elton John probably felt very comfortable.
He was gregarious.
I'm
sure.
sure.
Very much so. Very, very kind, I thought. I mean, he was very much a gentleman. And Mick Jagger was an ultimate gentleman.
Yeah.
Seems
like you and Mick Jagger crossed paths quite a few times.
More than twice. He wouldn't have remembered, but certainly I did. Yes.
I would be surprised.
I had a chance to interview him when I was in my first FM rock and roll DJ job in Kansas City.
And were you a Stones fan?
Oh, I was big Stones. Who isn't?
Right?
Yeah.
My mother doesn't like them. She's a Beatles. She loves the Beatles.
Well, there was a time when you either, you took this aisle or that aisle, the Beatles aisle or the Stones aisle. I was a Stones girl because I was into motorcycles and weather jackets.
I'm a Stones guy. I don't like the Beatles.
Yeah.
I'm the one person that doesn't like them in the world.
I don't like them.
Okay, there's two of us, but.
Oh, I certainly love them, but I was Stones. Yeah. I Bob Dylan, the Stones. Highway 61 revisited era.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was all about find me a motorcycle, a leather jacket, and a hot guy, and I'm on the
I
back.
like the way
Yeah.
you think.
Uh-huh.
Well, speaking of hot guys, now let me ask you something because I need to know this because as Hannah knows, I lost my mojo at some point a while ago. When Mick Jagger walks in, he just has that charisma, that sexiness. Because physically, he's a weird-looking guy.
A, I can't imagine you ever losing your mojo. But B, physically, wiry, you know,
All lips
all active twitch and lips. Yeah.
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 So how? I mean, he must have you must have just. He must have
Well,
just
I was,
seduced you.
I
right?
was, I was tongue-tied, of course. When he walked into the FM studio, he had to walk past the AM studio, which was where Rush Limbaugh was broadcasting as a top 40 DJ. So this is going back some years, you know.
And this is when the Stones were in the top 40.
And yes, and we had the FM station that I worked for, which was the FM side of the AM station that Rush Limbaugh was being a DJ on. His father owned the radio station, WDAF. And
So he didn't earn it like you did. He.
Well, I think that he was certainly given that job by Dad.
Right.
Yeah. So he went far with it. But yeah, Mick was great. Walked in. Our FM station was sponsoring the Stones at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City. So Jagger came in with his entourage, and literally this was like a closet in the cornfield in Overland Park, Kansas, like in Nowheresville. And there's Mick Jagger, and I can't believe it because it was a surprise to me. He didn't, let anybody know that he was going to show up at the FM station that was sponsoring the concert at Arrowhead Stadium. So he sat down, and for an hour and a half, he talked. He basically did the interview because I was tongue-tied. I mean, this was one of my first jobs ever in radio. It was the first official radio station. I'd worked in college radio before, been a DJ.
Let me tell you about Keith Darling,
Oh my gosh! And then I was like, I did ask a few questions, but he pretty much did the interview for me. He could tell, I was young. I was 24.
Yeah.
And
it was like my first show when you basically drunkenly did the interview for me.
You did a great job.
I'm better now, obviously.
You were. We had fun. We
did have fun. That was a fun.
It was like taming lions. Yes, there were a lot of them in the room.
So
a lot of hair, and he also pulled. This is when we actually had albums, record albums, vinyl. He pulled the vinyl and played it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
He chose the Stones songs that.
Oh, so he played Rolling Stones. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I was your rock lady the night.
I'm still trying to picture Rush Limbaugh as a top 40 DJ. Number 35, Radio Speedwagon. I can't.
That's about right.
Oh boy, that's
and of course when he saw Mick Jagger walking by, and he was in the great big studio. Had the big glass. As I say, I was in a closet with an FM transmitter in the cornfield. And
nothing nice like the Ruby Studios.
Oh no, not at all. Like this is big digs.
Great, yeah.
This is the stardom. I like it. I like the stardom. And
I love the
rock. It was so fun to watch Rush Limbaugh practically trip over himself running to the door of his studio and saying, Mick, can you come interview? And Mick flipped in the bird and walked on by into the little closet that was my FM studio. I loved that part. I love that story.
Now, speaking of #MeToo, did Rush Limbaugh ever hit on you?
No. He called me the long-haired, pot-smoking hippie chick who rides a motorcycle.
Sounds hot to me.
Sounds like that.
He probably thought it was.
Long-haired hippie, and I ride a motorcycle.
That's all right.
Anyway,
pot-smoking.
Speaking of sexy guys, now since this diagnosis, now you always did well with the women. You've had some beautiful girlfriends over the years.
Yeah.
I'm especially thinking with that one goth chick that you went out with a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But you've always done well with the ladies.
Yeah.
But since you shed your long hair, your goatee, your Jesus locks.
It's not by choice, but yes.
Apparently, things are on the upswing.
Yeah. It's a strange cancer card that people use. People have got cancer, use the card kind of thing. It's kind of like, weirdly enough, is that so like at the hospital, there's two female security guards that have seen me since the get-go, since the first day I walked in there. I was like really in bad shape. And last on Monday when I was in there getting my PIC line changed, both ladies